Okay. Okay, it's 5:30. We'll call the meeting to order. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is the Marion City Council meeting for Thursday, October 21st, 2021. Those of you joining us from home, welcome. We're glad you could be part of our meeting. I've asked Council Member Will Brandt to say the Pledge of Allegiance on all our behalf this evening. So please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Council Member Brandt. May we have the roll call, please?
Mr. Harper,
Here.
Mr. Jensen,
Here.
Ms. Atkins,
Here.
Mayor Abu Wassili,
Here.
Mr. Brandt,
Here.
Ms. Gedalia,
Here.
Mr. Sterned.
Here.
Thank you. This time we have a moment of silence. Okay, thank you. First thing on our agenda this evening is a public forum, which is a time that is set aside for comments from members of the public on any item that is on the agenda but not associated with a public hearing. If anyone has comments regarding an item related to a public hearing, there will be time for comments at that time. And then there will also be a public comment section at the end of the meeting for anything that is not on the agenda this evening. So do we have anyone who's asked to address the council on any topic that is part of the agenda? Rachel?
I have not received any comments.
Okay. Then we will proceed with the consent agenda. Councilmember Gedalia?
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to approve the consent agenda as follows. This includes items A1 through F5, resolutions 29969 through 29998.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented, including items A1 through F5, resolutions 29969 through 29998. Discussion? Okay, we'll vote. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, please signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Okay, the motion is approved. For the next section, I will turn over the meeting to the Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve the consent agenda with Mayor Abu-Wassili's abstention as follows. This will be items B1 through F1, resolutions to include 29,999 through 30,003.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda with Mayor Abu-Wassili's abstention. Items B1 through F1, resolutions 29999 through 30003. Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion's approved with one abstention. I'll move the meeting back to the mayor.
Oh, please take the next item also, Colette. Thank you.
Sure.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to receive and file correspondence regarding extension of tax increment financing development agreement with PDS Investments LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to receive and file correspondence regarding extension of tax increment financing, TIF, development agreement with PDS PDS Investments LLC. Discussion. Tom?
Thank you. I just wanted to bring this to the attention of the city council. We received a request from Phil High representing PDS Investments regarding an extension of his TIF development agreement. As indicated in the letter, there was a 6-year reimbursement schedule associated with the development agreement, or $250,000. In that 6 years, he has not reached that point. And he's asking for extension for an additional 3 years to reach the amount included in the development agreement. I only bring it up this evening as we received the letter. We would proceed to place a resolution authorizing this to proceed at the next city council meeting, but there is some a necessity to move this along. So I just wanted to get it in front of the council ahead of time before the next meeting, let you know what was going on in order to certify to the county that we want to capture that rebate. We need to have some action taken before the end of the year. So I just wanted the council to be aware of the request. We'll place it on the agenda at the next meeting. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them now. So I just wanted to give a little background on it.
Questions?
Yes.
Yes, Will. Go ahead, Will.
So is this common to extend these types of agreements when, well, it was for 6 years or up to 250,000? So we've met the 6 years, but it's an up to, not 250,000. So I'm curious if this is common.
I think if you look at the agreement, I don't know that it's an up. I don't think it was up to. I think it was 6 years, or maybe I'm incorrect, but I'm fairly certain it was 6 years.
When I read it, the way I read it, it was an up to 250,000.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Tom, I think it's correct. It's 6 years and up to 150,000. So the agreement is actually, the timeline goes first because the increment created usually at that time would be an estimated value. Typically, we have not extended timeline unless there is unusual circumstances associated and justified.
Is
Other
that the
questions?
case?
Go ahead.
Is that the case here where there's unusual circumstances to extend it?
I think one of the issues that Mr. High, he doesn't really point out too much in the letter, but so there's still available space that has not been built out in his building. And so he's requesting the assistance because he's not leased out the building to the fullest extent. So his request is coming because he's obviously needing additional assistance to continue in the situation that he has.
Steve?
Yeah, I'm along with Will on this one. I think 6 years is a pretty long time already. I guess if we're going to consider extending this, I'd like to have a more detailed explanation by Mr. High.
Sure.
To document the request and why it is needed, why it was not accomplished in 6 years. And I understand the third floor has been vacant, so I'd like to also kind of get a little bit of an understanding or explanation what efforts he has made to get that third floor filled, not just completely rely upon the city council at this point.
Yeah, I think we could have that. And at this point, I just wanted to get the information out in front of the council so it wasn't all a surprise at the next meeting. But we'd have the resolution on the next agenda, and then there'd be a vote for it at the next meeting.
All right.
Absolutely.
Other questions? Go ahead, Grant.
Yes, thank you. I notice in his letter, he makes the statement, as tax payments have been made, after receiving the TIF reimbursement, it has become clear the TIF portion was not 50%, but closer to 32%. His financial projections and plans have been based on that 50%. Tom or Amal, can you maybe shed a little light on what he's conveying there? And maybe this will be material with a follow-up, but I'm just curious what he's really saying.
It has to do with the amount that he's rebated. He was basing his rebate from taxes paid at a higher amount than he was originally, than the rebate actually came in at. So I think the rebate came in at like 32%, and he was anticipating that he would get a much higher portion of his taxes back.
Okay, so then is requesting an extension just drives him closer to the 50% to match his projections?
Yep. We can, yep.
All right, thank you. Maybe this is clarified more completely with some follow-up correspondence.
Yep, I think we can do that.
Any other, go ahead, Steve.
I think, Tom, if we're going to follow up on this, again, I know in the past, if I recall, there's a few times we might have extended it for a year or two. This would be extending a 6-year timeline by 3 years, which to me is pretty significant as well. So we could also have some comments from you in early November about how often we extended for this amount of time, or at least a percentage of time. That's a 50% time extension. So to me, that also seems to be pretty large as well.
All right, any, go ahead, Tom, did you have something
No,
else?
we can do that. Absolutely.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, so for the next meeting, it sounds like Tom's going to get us some information, generally speaking, about extensions for TIFs and some additional information regarding this request.
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved with 1 abstention. And now I'll pass the meeting back to the mayor.
Mayor, you need to unmute. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 3004, approving employment agreement with Ryan Waller as city manager.
I'm honored to second this motion.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 30004, approving the employment agreement with Ryan Waller as city manager. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving resolution number 30004, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Okay, the motion is approved unanimously, and I do know that Mr. Waller is attending the meeting this evening, and would like to give him an opportunity to say something if he would like to. Rachel, can you please give him access to be able to address the council?
Mayor, I'm in. Thank you to Rachel and Mayor and Council. Thank you very much for the recent action. Today, my wife and I are celebrating our 15th wedding anniversary. And so thank you for helping make this a little bit more special for us. Really, on behalf of my family, thank you for the opportunity to be part of Team Marianne and serve this great community. Everybody has just been very welcoming since the announcement was made. The staff and all of you have just been absolutely incredible, very accommodating, very welcoming. And I am so excited to get to work and look forward to finding a home and hit the ground running.
Okay, thank you so much, Ryan. We couldn't be more pleased to have you join our team and be part of all the exciting things that are happening here in Marion, and we look forward to working with you. So we'll see you soon. Okay, moving on with the rest of the regular agenda. The next item is C1.
Yes, and I wish I would have had A2 instead of C1. Nothing against C1, but gosh darn it, Steve. I move to approve ordinance number 21-22, amending chapter 164 regarding the fire prevention code. This is the second consideration.
Second,
It has been moved and seconded to approve the second consideration of ordinance number 21-22, amending chapter 164 of the Marion Code of Ordinances regarding the fire prevention code. Discussion. All those in favor of ordinance number 21-22, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing regarding the Third Avenue reconstruction project. We have our city engineer, Mike Barcolo, with a presentation.
Yes, Your Honor. So this is the Third Avenue reconstruction from 22nd Street to 31st Street. This is a complete reconstruction. It's broken into two phases based on the school's recent bond vote and the improvements that they'll be making with the buildings out there. This was publicly bid. Rachi Construction was the low bid, coming in at $1,544,679.60. And staff is recommending approval of the contract.
Okay, the public hearing is open. Do we have any members of the public who have asked to address the council either in favor or in opposition to this measure?
I have not received any comments.
Okay. Mr. Barcolo, has anyone contacted your office outside the meeting?
They have not.
Okay. Well, please note that for the record. And we will close the public hearing and proceed to the resolution.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 30005, accepting bids and awarding contract to Rachi Construction Company regarding the Third Avenue reconstruction project in the amount of $1,544,679.60.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 30005, accepting the bids and awarding the contract to Rachi Construction Company for the Third Avenue reconstruction project in the amount of $1,544,679.60. Any discussion? Go ahead, Steve.
yeah, Mike, can you kind of just give us a little understanding on how much of an impact this will have on the school year for FMI? This is obviously going right in front of it. So how will that be coordinated? Because if it's 75 working days, that'll clearly take that into September and October.
Yeah, so if we can go back one slide, if it's Nicholas that's controlling it. So we broke it into two stages so you can see when they're starting.
Right.
And we purposely broke it into two stages. Is there going to be an effect to the city or the school? Of course, but we have to be able to do the street. So
Right.
that's why we broke it up. We've started it later so that hopefully they're out of school by then rather than starting in April. But there is going to be some overlap in there.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that before. You got actually two different school years,
Yes.
two different seasons. Okay. I did not pick up on that the first time. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, any other discussion? Questions? All right, we'll vote. All those in favor of resolution number 30005, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Motion's approved.
Your Honor, I move to receive, file, and refer to TAC a petition requesting a stop sign at the intersection of Erica Road and Bruce Road and the intersection of Bruce Road and Eastview Avenue on behalf of Raymond Lundberg at 4000 Bruce Road.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to receive, file, and refer to the Traffic Advisory Committee petition requesting a stop sign at the intersection of Erica Road and Bruce Road and the intersection of Bruce Road and Eastview Avenue. Discussion? All those in favor of the motion to receive, file, and refer to the Traffic Advisory Committee, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, say no. Motion is approved. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing regarding an amendment to the Marion Comprehensive Plan by adding appendix, is that I?
Yes.
East Marion Subarea Plan. The public hearing is now open. Who will do the presentation? Is that you, Tom?
I'll be doing that, Mayor.
Okay.
So the council received a presentation on the proposed comprehensive plan amendment on Tuesday at the work session. As indicated at that time, this area is located east of the intersection of Highway 13 and 151. It takes in a portion of property that was recently annexed, as well as extending the planning area out to Hinman Road, as indicated in the slide. If you want to go to the next slide, please. The long-term land use plan speaks to the issues of drainage, slopes and topography. It identifies future highway access points. It also gets into vehicular and pedestrian connectivity, sewer serviceability. And one of the key pieces to this document is it identifies and reflects the restrictions created by the airport overlay zones, as indicated in the lower right-hand corner. Next slide. This slide really documents the holistic view of the plan amendment, and it identifies the land use and intersection improvements proposed with this plan. As you can see, there are a number of different land use categories, with primary commercial and multifamily areas being provided adjacent to the major arterials and the highway. And then you can see there's a delineation of both single-family attached and single-family detached residential properties. The area that's restricted by the airport overlay is identified as green space and provides for limited use classifications. You'll notice that the regional detention on the north or on the west side of the property is shown to not be holding water. It may hold water at times, but the idea is that this would not create a water hazard for the airport. In other words, wildlife attractant to the wetland area could be created. So we're looking at creating a green space in that area. I would point out that we went through this process to create the sub area as a result of property being annexed into the city, the westernmost portion of this area, and a developer coming to the city and saying, I'm really interested in doing some development out here, but we really didn't have a good concept for development. Our land use plan was pretty vague. And so we entered into this agreement with RDG to sit down with all the stakeholders. The city, the school district is involved in this, and then also the developer of the property that's currently being looked at. And then we did come up with some concepts, rolled out a long-range plan, held an open house before the Planning Commission meeting a couple months ago. We held a public hearing at the Planning Commission meeting. A number of residents attended that. We provided another opportunity for folks to submit comments relative to the land use plan. And I noticed that there are some folks here this evening who will probably speak to this. So we have had opportunities for those in the area to contact the city and provide input on this. And we're pretty excited to see a long-range plan developed in the area that's very specific and provides an opportunity for not only the landowners in the area, but developers to understand how the growth in this area is projected to be. A couple of things I just want to point out, and I think it's important that everybody understands that as a land use plan and as an amendment to our comprehensive plan, this document is just setting a general guide for development. This does not zone property. So any property that's developed in this area would have to go through a process upon which it's zoned. Public notice would be provided, so those in the area would be noticed or would be provided the opportunity to come and speak directly to what a proposed development would be. This is, like I said, a general guide for development. Another key to this, and I think it's important to know, is that as we plan our city, we also have to accommodate for growth of our utilities and our infrastructure. So as we plan these areas are generally identified with density levels, and it helps us develop our capital improvement plan on how we're going to serve these areas. So for instance, the capacity of the sanitary sewer system in this area, we have to understand what the density at the top of the hill is going to be so that we know how to build it at the bottom of the hill. So there's a lot that goes into this, and I know there's sometimes it's looked at as a very simple illustration, but there's a lot of backside of this that helps the city understand and be able to manage growth and understand our future needs, especially as it relates to capital improvements. I'd also just like to point out that what this plan does not do is well, I already mentioned it does not zone the property, and I think I just want to reiterate that. Also, for the landowners in the county, which is really the property mostly east of the first north-south street in the development proposal. The city does not develop property. We just provide guidance for those that would purchase ground and propose to develop it. So I know there's been a lot of conversations about this is eating into prime ag ground. The only way this property would be developed is if someone who is farming proposes to sell it or does sell it to a developer who then in turn develops it. So we as a city have to plan our growth areas. This is identified in our city's comprehensive plan as a future growth area. So we want to accommodate that growth in a responsible manner, and that's what we've done. The northeast portion of this property is not serviceable by sewer. We've identified it in the land use plan as commercial multifamily and provide for that mix of uses just from a long range planning perspective. That does not mean that somebody coming in would have that availability if there's no sewer available. But we feel it's responsible to plan those areas out to logical ending points, and that would be Hinman Road as an arterial and Fernald Round to the north. Can you go to the next slide, please? Within the document, there's a number of slides that identify some character imagery. These are just these are documents that we like to use to promote styles of development. The plan is not specific to these. It just provides some guidance. As we've all talked about, and many know, we're having issues with housing affordability, and also simply providing enough housing units for those that want to move to the community. So this just provides that opportunity to tell a story about how we'd like to see the areas develop. Developers would be don't really like it when we tell them exactly what to do. So we just like to provide guidance, and these documents help do that. Next slide, please. So tonight there's a public hearing on the proposed plan, and I would welcome any comments from the city council or those from the public when that time comes as well.
You're muted, Mayor.
Sorry. Thank you, Tom. The public hearing portion is now open, and would ask the city clerk if anyone has requested to address the council, either in favor or in opposition.
I have not received any comments.
Okay. Tom or Dave, do you have anyone who has contacted you outside the meeting?
I've had a few calls today. No one left their names, but they just were looking for additional information. I sent them to the website, and they seemed happy with that.
Okay. All right, seeing that there's no one who has asked to address the council this evening, we'll close the public hearing portion and move on to the resolution and discussion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 30006, amending the Marion Comprehensive Plan by adding Appendix I, East Marion Sub-Area Plan.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 30006, amending Marion Comprehensive Plan by adding Appendix I, the East Marion Sub-Area Plan. Discussion. Yes, go ahead, Grant.
Thank you, Your Honor. Tom, I failed to ask this during our work session, so I apologize for this question at this point in time. But I did notice in the memo, there was generally some reference about some lot specification that has already been made in this, and then also that there would be approximately 280 attached and detached residential properties. The simple question I have is as this would ultimately in a 5 to 10 year time frame be built out, will there be requirements in order to hit those specifications in terms of lot configuration as this concept illustrates, as well as maintaining conformance with the numbers of residential units that are specified?
I mean, what we use this document for as a guide. It helps us understand that the number of units created by the individual districts. So no, I mean, if a developer comes in and proposes something that's, a modification of this, we'll review it as it relates to the comprehensive plan. If it's a major change, they'd have to make an amendment to this plan, which we obviously would bring back through the process. Our goal is to see that that we generally follow the land use plan. But there is no specific, we're not going to be critical of someone if we're off within the development. But obviously, overall, we need to pay attention to those numbers so that we understand that our infrastructure improvements have been made in accordance with a long-range plan.
Okay, so in my mind, what I'm taking to be is the as-built will be generally conforming to this scheme, but not exact.
That is correct. That is correct.
All right, thank you.
Yep. If I could just point out one other thing with regard to that, you notice within the plan, there's the areas that are identified as commercial and mixed use. You could understand that those densities could be dramatically different, but just by virtue of those being designated with that, we will use a higher density level to identify those areas so that we're planning appropriately.
Okay, additional questions or comments? I appreciate the additional explanation, Tom. I think that the perspective that, this isn't what the city is requiring or mandating. It's if and when this land develops, this is what the city sees as an appropriate way to develop based on the needs of the community. I think is something important to bring out. We're not guaranteeing that the land is going to develop. It's just if and when development reaches it, and there are willing buyers and sellers on both sides, and developers interested in developing privately the land, then this is a guideline that the city would like to see in terms of how this land develops, how it would best suit the community. So appreciate being forward-looking and planful again, and looking out into the future so that we can grow in a way that makes sense and that adds value to our community and adds value to our quality of life. So thank you. Any further comments or discussion? Okay, we'll vote. All those in favor of approving resolution number 30006, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor, I move to approve resolution number 30007, approving the KFC Central Corridor Review for property located at 1925 7th Avenue, Marion, Iowa. And this is Summit Properties and Development Company Incorporated.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 30007, approving the KFC Central Corridor Review for the property located at 1925 7th Avenue. Discussion.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Renee.
Oh, no, no problem. I'm just wondering, Tom, you were gonna, I think, ask them about the sign and if they would consider making any change to this. I'm wondering if you were able to have that conversation and what it yielded, if anything.
Yes, this is Dave Hockett. Nicole had tried to reach out to him. Unfortunately, she got called out of the office early today, and I'm not sure if she got that completely done. They had indicated initially that they would look at all the options. Nicole and I took a little look at the site as well. There's some definitely hardships with the way the property has been developed for the sign to come down. We all love monuments. We all want monuments. Between the setbacks and the corner visual clearances, a monument sign would be very difficult on this site, especially at that corner or up near the driveway. That would probably impact site visibility at that corner and create a dangerous situation. The landscaping there does that as well. If you've ever gone out there, the landscaping impacts the visibility, which we're going to address. Unfortunately, I don't know if she did get a final resolve on the sign on it, but there are some difficulties with the ground sign at this site.
Okay. Any additional questions or discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving resolution number 30007, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved. For the next item, I will turn over the meeting to the Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve resolution number 30008, approving the Junction Lofts Central Corridor Review for property located between 5th and 6th Avenues and east of 16th Street.
Second.
Seconded to approve resolution number 30008, approving the Junction Lofts Central Corridor Review for property located between 5th and 6th Avenues and east of 16th Street. Discussion. Grant.
Yes, thank you. As I looked at this, and it really gave me a bit of pause over the last day or so. It would seem to me that ultimately this is a rather irregular development property, given especially the residence that's on the immediate southwest aspect of the development. And I guess the question is, do we foresee that this development is going to ultimately run into being a conflict with that existing residence? And maybe this is just my ignorance on this overall process, but doesn't it seem like it is a better solution for developers to encompass the entire potential perimeter of property that they would find desirable in order to minimize adjacent conflicts? I hope that made sense.
So a couple things are going on here. One, so that as owners of the property, they are entitled to develop it consistent with our code. You are correct in that we always like to see development sites that are blending into the neighborhood and accommodating and working towards that. And I mean, I think we would all like to have seen those properties and, included in the development. Not speaking on behalf of the developer, but just speaking on behalf of what, we need to do, and that's review the development plan that's been presented. And so, yeah, I mean, that's certainly a question, and maybe the developer, I know that a representative could speak to that issue online, but it's difficult for us to work towards a denial of a project when they do have some entitlements based on the zoning that they have in place. Yeah. Now, if there's site-specific standards and such that are questionable, that's another subject. But
well, so Tom, I appreciate that comment. I mean, the property owner, so long as they act in accordance with our standards, then they have that right to do that. It just seems to me that there could be a potential go forward conflict between the residents situated on the southwest side and the activities of the developed property. And given the placement of that retention pond or proposed retention pond, it just seems to me the entire plan might be different if in fact the development was including essentially that entire area. So yeah, there's no way out of the box. All I guess I was looking at is as developers and us contemplate these things, I guess what I'm just seeking for is something that is maybe opportunity for design simplicity. And yeah. I guess, so I'll check that. I'll check that away in my lockbox and not worry about it.
Renee?
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm wondering, we had quite a bit of a discussion and some issues were raised on Tuesday. And again, staff was asked to go and talk to the developer. I know specifically we asked, about a screening plan, and I'm just wondering if there's any other feedback based on our comments from Tuesday that we should consider.
Yeah. Yeah, the developer and I actually talked Tuesday night after the meeting a little bit, and then met on Wednesday, that next morning. Starting off with the easy ones. Question one was just stormwater detention. As right now, the site does sit quite a bit lower in 6th Avenue. There's no control of water coming through the site. So yes, there's a lot of water going at the adjacent properties today, and just because it's undeveloped. With this development, the detention basin will be sized. Chatting with engineering today, they said when they get the final plans in, they'll ensure that it meets and exceeds the standards for stormwater detention. Second issue is parking. They're at the minimum parking requirements as prescribed by the zoning code. So they do meet the parking regulations of 1.5 spots per unit and spots per 3-bedroom unit. So they do meet all the requirements. Meeting with the developer, they saw some opportunity for adjacent parking in front of garage doors. If you have a visitor visiting you in unit 3, you go park in front of unit 3 garage. And there's some still room for car maneuverability on the site. I was shocked that there's no parking on 5th Avenue. That actually picks up on 22nd Street East. I guess I'd always seen cars on 5th Avenue and assumed it was all the way, but there is no parking on 5th Avenue or 6th Avenue. And then there's limited parking on 16th, which is kind of a dead end and a little bit detached from the apartment. But so the parking issue, they felt they met the need that they had to have to make the site work. Third issue, oops. If we go to the next slide, Alicia. Third issue was I'm gonna call it again the end caps of the building. If you recall, this was all brick with windows. They've now come in with another material on those end caps. That's a material found elsewhere on the building. So they've got 4 materials total, along with several different textures on the property, again, to break up that brick mass. I
Is
think
it still flat though, Dave? Like, is there, I get there's another texture or color coming on, but is it still like warehousey, like totally flush?
yeah, it is. Yeah, it is flat other than the texture changes. The one unit I want to, so this is a common representation of all the end caps. Now the end cap on the 6th Avenue side would be the number 4 there. That's the one that would front 6th Avenue. It's not quite represented accurately on this. This building would basically be at grade, so that so you're not seeing that 3-story profile. The grade does extend all the way, so it's really a 2-story building. It's not going to present as shown from the street there because the grade is so much higher at 6th Avenue. So that will be a pretty much a level yard, not dipping down and exposing the lower story there in that image on the 6th Avenue end unit. 1, 2, 3, stormwater parking. Oh, landscaping screening was the final issue. The landscaping plan was pretty much an engineered plan. Meeting with the developer, they do landscaping as well. We've talked about doing some additional landscaping along not just the single family residentials to the south, and they're proposing a fence along the commercial side of things, but pretty extensive landscaping plan. And they would do some additional landscaping along that end cap on 6th Avenue. It's not reflected on the landscape plan, but they feel they can come up with some pretty good designs once they get their landscape architect kind of looking at it, as just opposed to their civil engineers that puts them in a nice straight line. I know Mr. Brandel's available if you have developer specific questions on this project, representing the applicants.
Other questions? Thank you, Dave.
I have
Okay.
a question.
Go ahead, Will.
What's the plan
So,
for 17th
So the
Street?
detention basin improves the current situation?
Renee,
Yes.
hold tight 1 second. Will's asking a question and we'll circle back around.
What's the plan for 17th Street? Is that still considered a street up to the red line there?
Correct. 17th Street was just vacated north. So that 17th Street is a public street. Anybody can use it, park on it, et cetera, like a street. I think it's pretty much undeveloped. I mean, it might be some concrete, but it's in pretty bad shape. It's pretty much being used as a private parking lot, and has been since I've been here, for the auto repair place to the east, that silver building. I think everybody's pretty familiar with there. But it's a public street, so we could go park out there today.
Was it ever considered by the developer here to actually use 17th Street as the entrance into this
Yep.
facility?
Initially about 2 or 3 years ago, when they were looking at everything, they don't own the silver building adjacent to it. Per policy, we'd have to vacate it, and everybody gets their half. And then that property owner would lose ability to access his building because it's only side load. He doesn't have any direct access other than 17th Street to his building. So it was determined by council a couple of years ago, year and a half ago, to keep that as public. And then when and if, yes, what the arrow is on the screen there. So when and if those properties ever want to redevelop, at that time we could take another look at 17th Street and possibly vacate it for redevelopment of those 2 or 3 lots in that area.
Okay, thank you.
It's an access issue for that property. That was why we had to keep it open.
Renee, do you still have a question?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know how much you heard, but Dave, thanks for following up on that laundry list. Just want to confirm what you said. The detention basin coming in with this project will improve the current situation for the current neighbors. Is that true?
It absolutely should. I mean, there's no control today, so it's just free flowing today. So any detention basin you put in, as long as it's being designed correctly, it should capture that water generated on site, and then where it gets released, it'll get released at a slower rate as opposed to just sheet flowing across the entire site onto the neighbor's property.
Well, I guess that's good. I still am a little concerned with some items, but you know, it can't just be my personal preference, and I appreciate that the developer was willing to make some of these, you know, additional screening and change up the textures a bit. So I guess it's on the city where my recommendation is going to come, and I really think it's incumbent upon us to update the parking regs in these areas where the on-street parking is limited or not even available. Because, you know, if the developer meets the parking standards, but this is a situation that is, I mean, you can just see it being created right here before the shovel has hit the ground, that this is going to be a parking issue. And it's a shame with all of the other things that we're doing and our intentions. So maybe we need to bump up the parking regs from 1.5 to 2. I'm not sure what the formula is, but I would welcome that conversation. Thanks.
Any other questions?
I have another one.
Go ahead, Will.
It goes back to parking here too. Does anyone on staff know about the new Marion Lofts up the street? Is that at full capacity? Because I know we had some concerns about parking there also, and I drive by that daily, and I've never, so far anyway, I've not seen any issues with parking outside of their parking lot. But if they're not at full capacity yet,
Correct. My understanding, they're not at full capacity. I think they've got most of the smaller units rented. I think they're still kind of waiting on the larger 3-bedroom units. Once school starts, I've been told that the marketing of 3-bedroom units kind of really slows down. Oops, I just lost my light. So they're not at full capacity. I think they're nearing it. That was approved at is either 1 or slightly under 1 spot per unit. And again, that's a very income restricted apartment, a low income apartment, and the car ownership's a lot less than obviously a market rate apartment like's being proposed. But there's a lot of empty spots. I drive by it every day, morning and night, and there's 30% plus is still open out there.
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up, because I was wondering if it was at capacity, because yeah, there's still a lot of empty spots there during the day and in the evening too. And then, like I said, I haven't seen any parking elsewhere.
Yeah, that was our biggest concern. It was a big stretch for us to go down to that level, but they provided the numbers regarding low income car ownership, and so far they've really hit the number pretty well, I think.
Randy.
Thank you. Dave, I still have concern with this residential property down on the left, southwest side of this property. For those of us that remember the Trump Towers going up in New York City around the little old lady's house, this still concerns me in this particular area here. If this property never sells or becomes abandoned, what does the future? I mean, we're sitting here talking about development and future goals and comprehensive plans to the east, but yet when we take a look at something like this, in just my opinion, it feels as if though that we're kind of sweeping this to the side for us to control what's actually happening here in this particular, privately held lot. We've got a half abandoned street here. We don't know how we're going to be, I am adamant that needs to be no parking, because I can just totally see this homeowner getting blocked in there because we've got people parking there to access these apartments. The snow removal is going to be difficult at best in the wintertime. What does the future look like for that? And yet when it does become abandoned, it's a parcel that nobody will have no interest in at best if it goes worse. So can you touch base on that topic? Or I'd love to hear the developer. We never hear the developers talk about these, because I think the city does need to have some control over what's going in here, though that maybe they're hitting our codes, but it's ultimately it'll be the city that has to deal with this in 30, 40, 50 years from now.
Do you want me to talk first? Or do you want me to go first, or you want to invite the developer to?
No, go right ahead, please.
Oh,
thank you.
Okay. No, I was just trying to verify the zoning district out there. I just need one second here I want to say it right. Sorry, one more second here. I have it. UTR2. UTR2. Okay. With the UTR2 zoning out there, it's a very mixed zoning district. Much like our current zoning, we have multifamily districts. They allow everything from single family homes to multifamily homes. So this UTR2 district allows everything from a single family home up to large scale multifamily. So the zoning code adopted by virtue of allowing both uses in the same zoning has basically said, hey, these uses are they're compatible in terms of use. Not to say that there isn't things that can be done to help minimize the impact of, say, traffic, noise, lights. I'm trying to think of some of the things we hear about most often. This lot is getting kind of left behind a little bit. It's a single lot. I'm talking to the developers in the past, they could buy the whole block. They would have bought the whole block. It just wasn't for sale. But we look to what can we do to minimize the impact of a multifamily next to a single family lot? It's landscaping, screening, directing traffic away. And I think this site's done that really, really well, with its own driveway, a 15-foot or 20-foot landscape buffer that we installed in that area. Obviously, we'll have to look at the lights when they come in on the actual plans, make sure they're down directional, et cetera. But now in terms of, you are stranding a lot alone. What could happen to that lot? For a lot its size, it does have limited redevelopment potential for anything much more than a single family house, or maybe a 2 or 3 plex, maybe a 4 if there's a creative developer out there. The best hope for it would be as the rest of the corridor redevelops, this piece gets bought up, but the street gets bought, and then the property to the west gets bought, and a sizable project can happen. But there's always that possibility of just that one gentleman that whoever it may be wants to hold out and enjoys where he's at, doesn't want to move. We can sit there and hold land up for 20 years for somebody to move, or we can get creative and try to allow for development to occur around those individuals. There is one other single family home. I didn't want anybody to forget about it. East of that silver building, between the auto repair and Big Shots, there is another single family home on that block as well. It's kind of, granted, he had a little bit more opportunity on that lot than the lot Randy's mentioned, but it's a tough situation there. But I think the developer's done everything and more really to minimize that impact of the structure being right there. The buildings aren't right up to it. You're not looking at your back door and seeing a 3-story building. You're getting some open space, and so I think this is the best design by leaving that house in place. But there might be some long-term impacts in terms of just what can that piece do, because it's left alone. It's on its own now.
Great, thank you. So in clarification on that then, so they could, I guess in best case scenarios, if the property ever did need to change, we could go ahead and vacate the rest of that street, pull it back into that lot, and it in your opinion, it is still a viable lot that could be built on or repurposed in the future. Is that what I'm hearing you say, Dave?
Absolutely. To the same scale as what's going to the north? No. I mean, probably the most you might be able to get out is a 3 or 4 plex.
Okay.
But there is some potential there, and it's going to be, you have to be creative, and they're going to have to be outside the box of what they standardly build around here. But it's possible.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well,
Thank you. One suggestion that I just thought of that maybe the developer can do, because it looks like just to the north of the retention area, is that going to be garbage receptacles?
Correct.
Maybe they could switch that over to the other side away from the residence and put it by the commercial property. Maybe have it where 17th Street's actually at there in that green area. Just keep that even further away from the residence that's there. That's gonna potential for smells or whatnot in the summer. So just a thought, maybe the developer could do that.
Dave, is the developer available to provide us some additional insights as Randy had requested?
Yes, Chad Brandel, representing the developer, is available if you have direct questions for him.
Anybody have specific questions they'd like Chad to answer, or sort of a more general overview? Go ahead, Randy.
Thank you. I'll just continue on that subject of asking if the developer has reached out to potentially attempt to purchase these touching lots. I guess that was been kind of a common thread throughout.
Yeah, Randy, yeah, we have. I don't think we've reached out within the last year or so. Originally, when we acquired this property 2 or 3 years ago, we certainly did. At that time, it was neither lot was for sale. So we don't, to our knowledge, it's still not for sale. So in a perfect world, it would have been great to acquire that land to the southwest, I guess, but it just didn't come to fruition.
Great. Thank you, Chad. I appreciate that input.
Chad, can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yeah, 4317 Quail Trail Drive, Marion.
Thank you, Chad. Other questions? Go ahead, Grant.
Thank you. Just Dave, just a comment. Some of your additional description relative to this proposed development was meaningful to me. I think we're too far downstream to really be responsive to the concern I was stating. That's something that really has to happen in the initial concept development phase. But I did want to get it on the record. It just seems to me there's ultimately could be a more efficient way to go, but I know there's constraints that have to be dealt with that I'm probably not well aware of. So again, just thanks for your additional commentary. It was meaningful to me.
Thanks, Grant. Go ahead, Randy.
Thank you. I just wanted to circle back one more time. I know that we are very critical to the details of this. Chad, we do appreciate, or at least I do. I don't want to speak on behalf of everybody, but we do appreciate your interest in continuing to want to build out the needs of our community here. So it's very exciting to see these projects come along. As you can appreciate, I hope that we're trying to be very good stewards of our land and our community area here. So thank you.
Other questions? This has been a good, healthy discussion. Questions, discussion? Okay. All those in favor of resolution number 30008, which is approving the Junction Lofts Central Corridor Review for property located between 5th and 6th Avenues and east of 16th Street, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved with 1 abstention. I'll pass the meeting back to the mayor.
Thanks, Colette. Okay. That brings us to the public forum, which is a time that is set aside for members of the public to address the council on any topic. Do you have anyone who's asked to address the council?
I have not received any comments.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to council comments. We'll start with Councilmember Atkins.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. First and foremost, welcome to Ryan and his family. So excited to have him join our really cool community here in Marion. So it's exciting news and happy anniversary, 15 years. I don't, is that wood or is it glass? I can't remember what it is, but hopefully it was a good gift. So, and on that note, I just think all of the staff and everybody that was involved in the process. It was a really good process, and a lot of folks put in a lot of work and effort for us to get here. So just to really appreciate that. And then second is I was not at the work session on Tuesday, as my fellow council members know. I was on an honor flight with my father. We went to DC to celebrate the commitment that all those veterans have made to our freedom here in the United States. And so it was a miraculous day. I'm not sure that anything will ever top that experience. And I share that with you for a couple of reasons, right? Just to remind us of how fortunate we are to live in the United States of America. I think sometimes we might forget that. So I really do appreciate the country that I live in. And secondly, if you know of any veteran that has talked about this or might be interested, encourage them to apply, help them to apply, jump in and volunteer, become a guardian. It really is an amazing experience. So thanks. That's all I've got tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. Steve.
Thank you. I attended of course, we all attended the forum that Metco put on last night out at Lau Park. I think it was a really different experience having the Marion and Linn-Mar school boards go along with that, but there was an overflow crowd for all three sessions. So I think it's exciting to see the level of interest. And of course, that's going to lead us all up to where we need to make sure everybody is encouraged to go out and vote on November 2nd. And as a result of November 2nd being a Tuesday, which would be our normal day for our work session, that we need to remind anybody who wants to watch our work session that we're going to be moving that work session from November 2nd to Monday, November 1st. So anyway, there's going to be an awful lot of items on the ballot for November 2nd. So we encourage everybody to vote. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, Renee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just to just ditto what Steve said about vote, it's super important. I'm glad that all the elections and the initiatives are kind of together just to drive more people and hopefully generate some more interest and support. And then secondly, and equally important is welcome to Ryan. Very excited to have you on board. I look forward to our conversation and the upcoming times that you're coming out to get to know everyone, and we appreciate all the efforts that you're going through. I know it'll be a very small window that I get to work with you in this capacity, but really so grateful to have you joining Team Marion, and welcome aboard. Thanks.
Thank you, Grant.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Three brief things. First off, I want to just ditto Colette's comments about the honor flight. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I went with my father on his honor flight. He was 92 years old at the time, and the oldest gentleman that was on the flight was 98 years old, and he had been a paratrooper who had dropped in on Omaha Beach. And so he was the celebrity of the entire honor flight. It was an amazing experience. But what I would recommend everybody to do is either go and see a departure of our veterans on an honor flight, or go out when they get home late in the day or in the evening. What I remember returning on the honor flight was, it was a jazz band. There was people dancing. There were public dignitaries welcoming the vets back. And I tell you, it just sent chills up my back to see the respect that was being shown. That's item one. Item two is, today I went and picked up 3 trees that were being distributed by our Marion, the city forestry department. And that tree distribution, which was the second one done in Marion that I am aware of, was underwritten by the Monarch Research Project, specifically Clark McLeod. And the great thing is, I don't know how many trees they've distributed in total. I know that Trees Forever has done parallel efforts on that, but the great thing is I am in possession of 3 trees and I'm dispatching those to neighbors who desperately need them post derecho. And the final thing is, Ryan, welcome aboard. We're anxious for you to be here and we are anxious to take advantage of your energy. Thank you for joining us.
Go ahead, Will.
I also want to welcome Ryan to the team. Looking forward to you being here a little over a month, right? And then chatting with you in the next couple of weeks. So looking forward to it. Welcome. And congratulations on your 15th wedding anniversary.
Thank you, Randy. Randy?
Thank you, Mayor. I as well too want to echo everyone's comments and welcome Ryan to our leadership team, our community. We're super excited about having you. The conversation going around town is very uplifting. It's exciting. People are looking forward to meeting you and seeing what opportunities lie for us in the future. Congratulations on your wedding anniversary as well too. We'll be welcoming you and your entire family into our community, and I'm sure there will be no regrets in taking that opportunity. So again, welcome and congratulations to you. As well too, I would like to thank the Marion Chamber of Commerce and the Marion Medco for hosting our event last evening with Mr. Hoyt as the MC. It was a great opportunity to see people. It's great to see people coming back out again and collaborating and getting engaged in these forums. And hopefully we see more of these items coming in the near future. It's going to enable those people to obtain the information that they need to go out and make good decisions on their voting. And we encourage everybody to go out and vote on the 2nd of November. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The answer to your question, Grant, is 30,000 trees. 1,000 of them in Marion this year, and there'll be more next year. So that's a really great project that the Monarch Research Project has undertaken in helping to restore our prized tree canopy. It's going to take years, but they're doing their part. And as are other groups. The unique thing about this program is that the trees are free. With other programs, people pay something for the tree, even though it's not a lot. But with this program, the trees are completely free and they're completely underwritten. So I want to add my thanks to the Monarch Research Project and our team on the Parks Department, City Arborist, and their staff for the work that goes into having these trees adopted by private property owners. Okay. I also want to welcome Ryan. Congratulations on having the contract approved. I know he's already hit the ground running, even though his official start date is not for more than a month from now. But I know he's been doing a lot of work in terms of getting to know people in the community and getting to know what our hopes and dreams are for the community, what our aspirations are, what our challenges are. Looking forward to having Ryan as part of our Marion family. I think he's going to add a lot in terms of energy and drive to help us all be our best and to all do our best for Marion and to reach higher. So the other thing I wanted to mention is tomorrow we have the ribbon cutting for the Hy-Vee tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock for the Hy-Vee renovation. So anyone wanting to join that, please come out. We have next week the ribbon cutting for the Hannah Park mini pitch, which looks really cool. So hope people can join us for that. We have the Chamber's annual meeting coming up tomorrow. And encourage everyone to just, again, go out and vote. It's great to see people so engaged and interested in the process and what's going on. ultimately that's healthy for the community when people are engaged and wanting to be informed voters. And I think Marion benefits from that. So encourage everyone to become educated on what's on the ballot and go out and vote. And thank you again to the council as a whole for being very engaged and taking this seriously, the job of the task that we had in terms of finding a new city manager for our city. And want to thank everyone on the staff who was also very engaged and helpful in that process, and look forward to everyone working together going forward and being the best team around, which I truly believe. I truly believe that. I believe that we have the best team around and we have so much potential. We're just at the beginning of what our town can accomplish. And when we work together, collaborate, continue to see the best in each other, and reach higher to do our best for Marion, we'll accomplish great things. So thank you very much. We'll see you all next time. Meeting is adjourned.
Good night, all.